Hello and welcome to today's panel discussion on accounting and technology making the world a better place. I'm Gillian Vesti, an Associate Professor and Acting Deputy Dean of the School of Accounting, Information and Supply Chains here at RMIT. Next slide. Before we start today's session, I would like to acknowledge the people of the Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nations on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT respectfully acknowledges their elders and ancestors past, present and emerging. And while we conduct our work remotely, I want to pay my respect to the wider unceded lands on this nation. Next slide. Next slide, please. RMIT is committed to redefining its relationship in working with and supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander self-determination. Next slide. Before we start today's session, so in this session, I would like to introduce our academic and industry stars, and we will discuss the innovative design of the accounting courses which make up the accounting major in our new Bachelor of Business. Next slide, please. Before we get into it, and as you can see, this is our slide that we have here that introduces our course structure. Can you please go back to the earlier slide? Thank you. Let me introduce the members of our panel today. So we have Renzo Mori Jr. He's RMIT's Senior Advisor of Sustainable Development. We have Meredith Therapos. She's a Senior Lecturer and Deputy Head of the Accounting Department. Maha Sdgs, who's the Business Development Manager of Xero. Victor Arity, Associate Lecturer Accounting, Financial Planning and Tax and Serious Games Designer, and Victor Borg, our Industry Fellow Accounting and Forensic Accounting Expert. So next slide, please. As you can see, this is a snapshot of our new BBiz with a nested accounting major and regulatory accounting minor. Both major and minor can be undertaken and especially need to be if you seek professional accreditation from CPA Australia and the Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand. Now, Meredith is coordinator of one of the first foundation courses you will take in semester 1. Victor Arity is the course coordinator of the first course in the major, and Victor Borg is the course coordinator of the last course in the capstone of our major. So we'll get to hear from all of those today. And just before we dive in, I want to reiterate that we have 15 to 20 minutes at the end of our panel discussion to go over any questions from the audience. You can submit questions in the Q&A tool on the right side at any time, and we'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible, but if we run out of time, we can still answer them later on as well. Next slide. So first up, we'll hear from Renzo, and he's going to chat to us about what the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are and provide us with some examples of how RMIT is working towards achieving those goals.
Thank you, Gillian. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. So in my talk today, as Gillian has just said, I'll provide some information about the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and how RMIT is using the SDGs to improve its sustainability performance. So before I start talking specifically about the SDGs project, I think it's important to highlight that sustainability is part of RMIT's DNA. RMIT is an organization that has been working with sustainability for many, many years, corporate social responsibility. Just to give you an idea, our first sustainability policy goes back to more than 25 years. So sustainability is part of our DNA. And in my talk today, I'll talk about one specific part of this big work we do called sustainability. And I'll provide details about this specific work, which is called SDGs project. Can you move to the next slide, please? So just to provide some background about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, what we call SDGs. So basically, the United Nations has been working with this global agenda for many, many years. Back in the 50s, with the first report from the Club of Rome, the United Nations realized that the way we are living is not sustainable. No surprise. And since the 50s, the United Nations has been working with this Global Sustainable Development Agenda. And the SDGs that you can see here is the latest approach of the United Nations to address the biggest challenge we all are facing as a society. What's new about this new approach of the United Nations is, for example, it goes beyond the traditional concept of sustainability that addresses social, environment, and economic components. For the first time, we have a more comprehensive concept that is also bring the concept of collaboration and partnerships, as well as peace, justice, and strong institution. So it's bring the concept of good governance, peaceful societies, as well as these partnerships to achieve the sustainable development, the level of sustainability that we need. So they were signed back in 2015 by all members of the United Nations, which means that every country, member of the United Nations, signed for this global agenda. This global agenda is composed by basically 17 goals. You can see here from number 1 to 17. So those are the 17 goals the United Nations is trying to improve. And the way it works is under each one of the 17 goals, there is a specific set of indicators and targets to actually measure if we are achieving the goals. And also we have some specific timelines to achieve the goals, which is why we call the SDGs as our Sustainable Development Global Agenda 2030, because you have a lot of goals established for 2030. Next slide, please. Bringing the SDGs to RMIT. So why are we talking about the SDGs? RMIT is using actually the SDGs as our sustainability framework to go beyond business as usual. We're using the SDGs for transformational change. And when we're talking about the SDGs in our context, in the context of universities, actually as a university, we are in a very good position because we can contribute to all 17 goals that you saw in the last slide. And our contributions at our university to this global agenda, we used to say that there are 4 different areas. The first one is the research. So you can have a specific research project addressing one SDG, gender equality, climate change. We can talking about what we call governance and operations. So it's basically, if we walk in the talk, the way RMIT is managing its environment risks, the way we are treating and dealing with our staff and students, the way we are influencing our community. The third one is what we call curriculum. So it's basically where RMIT is embedding SDGs as part of your curriculum. Because as you know, and we'll have opportunity to listen from some of the experts in the panel, is sustainability is, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter the field you are, sustainability is either or a risk that you have to manage or an opportunity that you can further explore. And the fourth aspect as a university that we can contribute to the SDGs is what we call leadership. So it's basically whether RMIT is using all the capabilities we have to drive change, to influence our stakeholders to be more sustainable. And this is why we're using the SDGs to start influencing both our internal and external stakeholders to be more sustainable. Next slide, please. And just to conclude this short presentation, this is some of the examples of outcomes out of this SDGs project. So the SDGs project is basically we are implementing the SDGs agenda across the university, considering those 4 components I mentioned earlier. And to do this, we have to undertake a lot of specific actions. So, for example, one of them is we are embedding the SDGs as part of RMIT's strategy. We developing a couple of mapping exercises to see where our capabilities are. For example, we know some of the courses what are the courses that RMIT has at the moment that are contributing to the SDGs. We have some of the reportings. So RMIT has some public commitments to high levels of accountability. We have been reporting on our sustainability performances since 2015. And you can see in our 2, we can say that are the more important communication channels that RMIT has about sustainability performance, our annual sustainability reports and our annual impact report. So these two reports are public information. I will invite you guys to have a look if you want to know more about what's happening across the university on the sustainability SDGs space. And just to conclude, I think it's important to highlight as well, I mentioned that RMIT has been working with sustainability for many, many years. But this year we had this important external recognition. You can see here in the top, in the bottom left, this is the result of international ranking for universities. So this year, more than 1,200 universities participate in this ranking, which basically assess our sustainability performance against the SDGs. And we are very, very proud to be ranked number 3 globally out of the more than 1,200 universities. So we know there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of aspects that we have to improve, but I think it's also important to recognize that we are in the right path. That was me. Over to you, Gillian.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate that, Renzo. Now, I'd like to next hand over to Meredith, and Meredith's going to walk us through the exciting new foundation course, the Business Decision Making, that all BBuzz students will undertake in the first year of the degree. Thanks, Meredith.
Thank you, Gillian. And as Gillian mentioned, my name is Meredith Therapas, and I'm a Senior Lecturer and Deputy Head of the Accounting Department. Our exciting new Bachelor of Business focuses on developing personal and professional capabilities that are valued in the workplace. These capabilities include adaptability, a global mindset, commitment to social impact, digital skills, and also creative and critical thinking skills. Importantly, the development of personal and professional identity is at the core of our vision for the program. And a key focus of the program is on assessment for learning, not just assessment of learning. An integral part of the learning experience for students is interacting with organisations, whether that be industry, government or community, so that students can apply their learning in real-world contexts. It's important that students understand that accounting is not just a technical practice, but also a social and moral practice with significant implications for organisations, the community and society more broadly. Another important element of the program is that students will have access to a digital portfolio to build awareness as emerging business professionals. The portfolio will enable them to provide evidence of learning, demonstrate knowledge, skills, capabilities and personal accomplishments to their prospective employers. These 4 foundation courses that are taken by all business students at the commencement of their program. They provide an excellent grounding for the accounting majors that follow. Next slide, please. And as Gillian mentioned, I'm the course coordinator of one of the foundation courses, Business Decision Making. And just to provide you with an overview of this course, the course enables students to understand how data can be harnessed to inform managerial decision making. It focuses on how managers can identify, obtain, and analyze both financial and non-financial data in order to make more informed business decisions. Students will be introduced to data-driven decision-making through the application and interpretation of analytical techniques and models in the context of real-world problems. Students will also look at how the results of data analysis can be communicated effectively to facilitate organisational decision-making. The course begins with an overview of decision-making processes, including strategy formulation, budget preparation, project evaluation and risk management. Students will then be introduced to technology as an enabler in the decision-making process, including how the results of data analysis can be communicated using data visualization techniques and through the creation of powerful reports. Finally, students will be introduced to ethical and sustainability considerations in the decision-making process, in addition to the incorporation of diverse and Indigenous perspectives. And Renzo gave an excellent overview of the sustainability considerations that we incorporate throughout the program. And as you can see, the course provides a solid foundation for the accounting courses in the accounting major that follow. And I'll now hand you back to Gillian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meredith. That's fantastic. Great insights. Now, I'd like to pass on to Maha, and Maha's going to chat to us about the accounting software package that we use in our major. It's called Xero, and she'll provide us some examples of how RMIT is using Xero in our classes.
Thank you so much, Gillian. First of all, I just want to start off by saying a huge congratulations to all of you for being here today at RMIT's Open Day. This is a fantastic university. So us at Xero, we partner with RMIT for a number of years, and it's been a joy to see the great courses coming out of RMIT and how it really impacts students after they graduate and get jobs. So we can see the difference it's making. Next slide, please, Andrew. People will tell you that accounting, it's not about just the figures and numbers, and it's truly not. It's about businesses, big and small. It's about the economy and really about future-proofing business for success. So today I really just wanted to chat to you a little bit about the impact that a great accountant alongside great technology can have in society, in businesses, and really for all of us. Next slide, please, Andrew. I guess to start off with, the actual journey for accountants is really similar to that of Xero. So Xero started off as an accounting software, and now we're very proud to be a global business platform. And quite similarly, accountants started off as, compliance-based accountants, whereas now they've really kind of grown to become business advisors. And all of this was done because of technology. And because of that, and technology has really helped to grow and change in the profession. It's really helped to grow the profession. Our purpose at Xero is super simple. It's really to make life easier for businesses, for their advisors and the community around the country. Apologies, my dog in the background. Apologies about that. So our purpose is really simple. It's to make life easier for businesses around the globe. And next slide, please. Because of this, we have a really special connection to the accounting industry. We call advisors our partners rather than our customers, and that's because we partner with them and help them to really support their clients in every way possible. A great example of this is during COVID. We found that small businesses who were connected to an advisor, as well as a number of apps in Xero, were the least impacted during lockdown. So really showing you the importance of a great accountant with the right technology and what they can do. Next slide, please. And because of this, we're super proud of all the work that RMIT is doing and incorporating Xero in a number of their curriculum. Outside of Xero, but all the different technologies they're adding in the bachelor course to their master's program. It's really fantastic to see, and we can see the benefits of it and the benefits to the accounting profession itself. And hopefully all of you, I guess, can see the great impact that accountants can make to the world, society, and really to businesses and really future-proofing those businesses. Thank you. Back to you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Maha. That's great, and lovely to hear from your dog too. It makes us recognise that we're all here in lockdown land and life goes on as normal in the background. So thank you so much. That was really interesting. So next slide, we're now up to Victor Arity, and Victor's going to talk to us about the exciting use of technology that helps make the world a better place. And we've been really busy developing serious games to make our classroom fun and engaging and informative for students. So over to you, Victor.
Thank you, Gillian. Thank you very much. And hi, everyone. My name is Victor Arity. I'm an associate lecturer in financial planning and tax. Well, if this is a face-to-face session, I normally would ask the students who believes accounting is fun, and to not make the question awkward, some of you will put your hands up and then I would tell you to put your hands down, because the general perception is accounting is not fun. It's a boring career path. So my job is to, hopefully after today's session, my job is to show you that's a false statement, especially if you decided to study or take accounting pathways with RMIT. Next slide, please. So what we are doing, well, I started the teaching in 2013. At the very beginning of my teaching journey, I keep asking myself a question: how can we make accounting fun and practical? How can we connect accounting to real life problems? How can we make accounting authentic? So I'm a huge believer in games, and I believe the power in games that could really change a lot of things, because I play a lot of games since I was a child. So then we reached the point we thought, well, maybe the educational simulation, educational games could help us solve this issue. And in RMIT, we have created 3 different simulations, which we will briefly explore today. And we are also developing new simulations as we go. The first simulation is called the Lucro Island, which is trying to teach students the knowledge about strategic budgeting. On this fictitious island, the students are all appointed as hotel owners. It's pretty much like the Monopoly game you played before, and you are building your own hotel, preparing budgets for your own hotel, implementing your business strategy for your own hotel. And then the fun part is you are competing against your classmates. Then we will show your rankings on the leaderboard, which will provide you feedback on whether your implemented strategy is working or not. So when we build up this game, we used a lot of industry reports to lay out the foundation of the data in this game. And we also implemented educational theory. This is a game you will experience in the very first accounting subject. Next slide, please. We also have 2 other simulations. The first one is called Strategic Investment QGOS, which teaches students how can you, as a manager, make a decision on which project to invest in. Basically, you are comparing hotel investment against a resort investment. We hired actors to simulate the real life scenario, and we put you in a very difficult decision because both projects are looking good, but you have to make a decision based on financial and non-financial information. Again, this is something you will experience in the very first accounting subject. The last simulation from the QGOS platform is called the Balance Scorecard, where you will explore how can a balance scorecard impact on a company's performance. Again, we have recruited real life actors to pose the authentic question in front of you. Lastly, I would like to share a piece of feedback from our students, which really made us feel what we are doing is really working, effective, and our students love it. The course coordinators, lecturers, and tutors worked hard to keep the accounting topics interesting and relatable to real-life scenarios. Having a play with the game simulation helps students to have a more practical experience with what accountants do in real life. I hope you will feel the same way while you are exploring our subject with us. That will be all from me. Back to you, Gillian. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. That's amazing. Thank you. So finally, going to hear from Mr. Hawke, and he's going to speak about our innovative capstone course, the use of technology, and his experience as a forensic accounting supporting the storyline developed in one of our latest serious games that we've built called Bogart. Thanks, Victor.
Thanks, Gillian, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Borg, and look, to continue with the technology theme that was kicked off by Victor, I would like to give you a bit of a brief of example as to what our students get up to in their final year, and I will use the course ACCT 1028 Strategic Performance and Leadership as an example. Next slide, please. So ACCT 1028 is a capstone course that's delivered in the final year here in Melbourne, Vietnam and in Singapore. The course essentially brings together various skills and knowledge that the students have learned throughout their business degree, and it brings it all under one roof. So it's essentially a deep dive and much more detailed layers in simulation and in other exercises that the students get involved in, where they bring all the skills together. So in this course, the focus again is on strategy development and implementation, and students have to, they get hands-on experience in a simulated environment, which is designed to mimic the real world. So essentially, this is roughly the way it works. In brief, I should say, students are placed in management teams in charge of multi-million-dollar companies, which compete against each other over a series of rounds, where each round represents a financial year. Okay. So then at the end of the day, these student teams need to make submissions to the board to justify their strategies, explain the company's performance, and also seek reappointment. So if the company doesn't perform too well, they're at the risk of, I guess, losing their job. Now, each company is made up of 4 departments, which are research and development, marketing, production, and finance. And the teams need to develop and implement strategies to manage these departments so as to, make sure that the company earns a profit and the company's share price is maximized. Now, in the research department, students revise existing products and decide what new products will be introduced into the market. And at the end of the day, there's a portfolio of 5 products that need to be managed. And this presents a whole heap of challenges here, because students need to look at these products, because these products are operating in different markets with different levels of demand and different pricing structures. So now the activities in the R&D will drive the marketing and production departments. In marketing, the teams need to make sure that all the products that are produced are sold. Okay, so they set the prices, determine how many products sell in the current period, and forecast what the future demand is going to be. So all this sales data then is going to drive the production department. So once we dive into the production area, students are making decisions about, which products to produce, or maybe consider dropping an existing product, perhaps because it may not be achieving expectations. Now, all of these decisions have to be made in light of improving and scaling up the plant. So there's going to be, investment decisions that need to be made, and this is where the link to the finance department kicks in. So, and essentially here, what students need to consider is where they're going to get the funds from in order to make the necessary investments in all the departments that they are managing. So, they can raise money on the share market, they can borrow money, or they can self-fund from retained earnings. So these funding decisions then play an integral part in keeping the whole operation together, because students here really need to monitor how they're managing their cash flows, and it's quite critical to the success of the organization. One thing they don't want to do is being faced with an emergency loan, because that tends to spell disaster. So they need to try and move away from that scenario. And in the finance department, students are making a whole heap of strategic related decisions about, should we increase prices or lower prices, should we produce less or produce more, and can we afford our ideas. So in a nutshell, ACCT 1028, students experience and learn from what can happen in the real world, right? So next slide, please. Thank you. We have also developed a serious game which is available to in-house courses and to the professional accounting bodies in the area of ethics. This game is called Bogart, as you can see from the header up on the screen, and it is based on real life experiences. that come into play. So once again, the emphasis is on, to experience something from the real world and then to learn from that at the same time. Here, students face ethical dilemmas because at times during the game, students may be tempted to break the company's code of conduct to comply with managers' directions. And these managers' directions are, being driven by the manager's own self-interest rather than for the best benefit of the organization. So the dilemmas that students face involve issues essentially relating to credit terms. Students do not get involved in, difficult personal issues. It's all focused on basically the management of debtors, so it's quite safe to play with. So the dilemma is, do we comply with the code of conduct and do what the manager is directing us to do, or break the code of conduct to keep the manager happy and earn a reward as a result of that? So again, here the idea is in a similar vein. We're here to learn something that can be real. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Victor. That was a really great wrap up for the accounting major, which is part of both the 3-year and the 4-year degree. So as you can see on the slide here, this is a recap of the 3-year degree, and the 4-year degree has the same content, but if we turn to the next slide, please, you will see that the 4-year degree is a Bachelor of Business Professional Practice, and this is where you'll undertake an additional year of work integrated learning, and which is usually for accounting students is generally an industry placement experience, and there's other key sort of preparatory courses that are outlined here in this slide which you could undertake. But there are alternative options, and we really encourage you to explore these in more detail. Tune into all the other events on our Open Day platform and follow the links provided at the end of this session. So now we're going to actually take some questions from our audience, and I might pose the first ones to Meredith, which is actually a question that's asking about the accounting minors. So what are the accounting minors? And perhaps you can also follow up with the second question, is how many study hours are expected for accounting students? So over to you, Meredith.
Thanks, Gillian. And look, there are a number of minors. The students have complete flexibility about how to put together their B-Buzz program. So if you are seeking accreditation following graduation with one of the accounting professional bodies, then we have a recommended structure to follow with the accounting majors and then the regulatory minors that need to be undertaken in order to comply with the professional accreditation requirements. So sitting in these minors would be things like auditing, tax, and yes, Gillian's, there's the overview there. So if students are not wanting to pursue accreditation with one of the professional bodies, then you have a wide selection of minors to choose from, and it's completely up to you. And one of the other questions coming through was about sustainability subjects in accounting. And there is one of the units that sits in one of the minors is called Integrated Reporting for Socially Responsible Entities, where there's a really deep dive into that aspect within the program. The other thing I would mention is that sustainability is integrated pretty much through the whole program, in that you'll find that there's aspects that are covered in each of the courses. As I outlined in business decision making, you can see how it's integrated in there, but it also sits in just about every other course that we offer. And then the other question was around study hours. So generally for each course, there would be 3 hours per week of teacher guided hours. So that would include the time spent in face-to-face workshops, whether that be online or face-to-face classes. Students have a choice. And then there would be teacher-guided pre-recorded content. So that would constitute the 3 hours of teacher-guided hours. And then for every 1 hour of teacher-guided hours, generally we would expect that students would take about the same time or a little bit more in their own individual study time. So for every 3 hours per week, probably we would say 4 to 4.5 hours of student instructed time where they go off and do their own individual learning. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Meredith. And maybe Victor Borg, you might like to also mention, because one of the courses that you can do in one of the accounting minors is forensic accounting. So you might like to talk to the students about that exciting course. Sure,
no worries, Gillian. The course in forensic accounting is called Forensic Business Investigations, and it's offered as an elective in the Bachelor of Business, and it's in the compliance track. And the course essentially it's an introductory course into a specialized field of accounting, and the course runs through the detection aspects and investigation aspects, particularly when accounting is used as a tool of deception. So accounting is being used not for the good of society, but for the nasty side of society, and you learn and get exposed to that side of accounting, which is a little bit off left field from the normal track of where accounting plays a role. It's a different view of accounting, I guess.
Thank you, Victor. That's great. And maybe Maha, there's a couple of industry-related questions from the audience, so maybe I might turn to you. So one of the questions are, what do you look for in accounting grads, and how can I stand out? And a similarly aligned question is, does GPA matter for hiring, or is it more soft skills now?
That's a great question. Gillian, I guess first of all, to answer your question about the kind of skill sets that the industry are looking for from grads, it would be quite basic, really. So essentially, most accounting partners that you speak to are really looking for somebody with skill sets they've learnt at university. So there's no requirement for you to have, 2-3 years of accounting experience after finishing a degree. The idea is that if you're somebody who has completed an internship, that's a massive step ahead than most other students. So that's definitely something that I would recommend any accounting student to pursue. Secondly, it's really being able to prove your skills and leadership, and that could be from joining different, student societies, being part of engaging in clubs at university, and then also being able to kind of add extra skills on top of your accounting bachelor degree. So becoming something like Xero certified, doing extra certifications across different technology that most accountants use. So really having the foresight and being able to do research in the accounting industry is really important. So I think those are the major, skill sets, but also major experiences that most accounting partners really look for. And in terms of, I guess, in your second question, Gillian, about the GPA, to be honest, from what I'm seeing in the industry, it's not really that important. Absolutely, it's critical that everybody completes a great degree from a great university and does well. But I also think being able to add all those extra, being a good, so well-rounded student is also really critical. So being able to be involved in student associations and look, RMIT has a great accounting student association that I would recommend, anyone who's doing accounting to be joined with, and, working as part of the committee, being associated with, having a part-time job at university is also important. So the GPA is important, and it's important that you complete a degree, you do well in it. But I think being a really good student that's, so well-rounded, so has other leadership abilities, is also really critical. Hope that answers the question, Gillian.
Thank you, Maha. That's fantastic. And now moving to games. So maybe Victor Arity here. We did have a question from the audience. A student asked if there's any game that they could play now. Maybe you could comment on that one.
Yes, thank you, Gillian. And before I talk about that, I would also like to add a few points to Maha's point in terms of our graduates' capability. I think, well, the question is great, like what are employers currently looking at, but there are a large amount of our graduates, they want to start their own business after graduating, or they've already started running their business. They just want to get a more systematic view about the knowledge. So I thought taking a pathway as what you are seeing on the screen at the moment would really help, regardless of what kind of business you are running, because I will give you one example. What we're teaching in 1046 Accounting Organization and Society, we teach you how to make selections among your investment opportunities. We teach you how to analyze your business performance. We teach you how to do some basic bookkeeping. So as you can see, these are practical knowledges you could have. We also teach you soft skills as well, including how to implement and analyze your business idea. How can you write up a business report if you ever will need to pitch your idea to potential investor. So there are a lot of soft skills we are trying to help you explore in our courses as well. So now back to the game point. I think so far for those 3 games, as well as the one Victor Borg displayed, the ESSEC game, you will need to enroll in our courses to explore them. But if you really like, I can type another game we're currently using in our accounting organization society, which is not developed by us, but we're using that to teach debits and credits, so you can at least get a bit of taste on how starting through a game could look like. So I will type something in the Q&A sessions, Q&A channel, so you could see the name. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Victor. And now I might go back to Meredith, because we do have an exciting question that talks about, that asks whether RMIT partners with business as well as teaching. So you can see here today that we have Maha from Xero, and we definitely partner with Xero in some of our course development in both undergrad and postgrad, but Xero is just one of many businesses. So over to you, Meredith.
Thanks, Gillian. And again, can I say, in the development of the new Bachelor of Business, we're very excited to have some industry partners who have signed on board to work right throughout the whole program with providing case studies, data sets, and input into the design of our courses. And just a couple of these include AWS, the Red Cross, Medicare. So you can see that they're across a range of industries, and we're very fortunate to have their expertise, and certainly being involved in business decision-making course. We've been involved in meetings with them where we're receiving feedback on our course design, and they're working with us. So, you know, in the course that I outlined, we've requested case studies around social media, because of the algorithms that underpin social media. We think that that would be a really unique case study to explore with the students, and the hospitality industry and tourism industry, because of the impacts of, you know, the current situation of COVID. It would be really interesting to explore risk management in that context. And following on, just another option that students might want to consider is that in addition to taking an accounting major, they can also undertake a financial planning major. So that's a really unique combination. And then with a regulatory minor, gives them a very unique set of 2 majors, and then the regulatory minor, which covers auditing, tax, the grey box outlined there. So that's another thing to consider. So lots and lots of options that lead to many different pathways. Thank you, Gillian.
Thank you so much, Meredith, and that was great because there was a question about the difference between financial planning and accounting, and our school is a large combined school that has financial planning experts as well as accounting experts, as well as information and supply chain and logistics. So together we have amazing combinations of different specialised course offerings, and you're more than welcome to talk to us about options and ideas and spaces, and whether, you know, and you can fit, as Meredith said, a double major in your degree, and so we're happy to talk more about that with you later on. So, and I think now I might ask Victor Borg perhaps to answer the next question that was relating to accreditation. So, Victor, do you think it's possible to say, you know, one of the questions says, is it important to receive accreditation with CPA through taking this major? And please note that you do have to take the minor, so you do need 12 courses for accreditation.
Yeah, so the course, the Bachelor of Business is accredited by the professional accounting bodies, and these are, you know, CPA and CA, and there's also another body which, unfortunately, I'm having a moment. I can't remember its name. It's a smaller organisation which you can become a member of. So if you want to practice as a CPA, for instance, and display those nominal CPA, you have to become a member of CPA. Okay, and by completing the Bachelor of Business degree in the accounting stream, you will then be able to, you know, become part of the CPA and undertake their professional course to get accreditation. So yes, you have to follow a certain process in terms of then getting that accreditation, and the RMIT courses will allow you to do that.
Thank you so much, Victor. And yes, and I think you were talking about IPA, which is
that's IPA.
Yes.
I couldn't remember the middle bit. I couldn't remember if it was a P or something else.
Yes.
I had the two ends, but wasn't quite sure about the middle one. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
No, that's great. And yes, and we do partner with these professional bodies as well in some of the activities that we do, including some of our research areas as well. So. So, and we've put we'll put some information there for you in the chat, and another question that we have here, maybe I could answer that one, being with my Deputy Dean sort of hat on. Are there exams for this course? Now, for our professional accreditation, our accounting courses, we will have exams. They're not with every course, but we do need invigilated assessment. So often you will find with the accounting courses that there will be a final exam, but certainly with other elective courses and some of the other courses that you undertake, there are other ways of assessing using more sort of integrated learning and other forms of authentic types of assessment. So you will get different experiences across the program in different courses. Whether I refer back to Meredith, if you would like to discuss the planning for the foundation courses, but we're happy to sort of talk more about that as well.
Yes, and in the foundation courses, as I outlined earlier, it's very much a focus on assessment for learning. So the learning that students do is very much integrated into the assessment, and ensuring that at least 50% of the assessment that is undertaken is invigilated or monitored within the classroom. That's what we mean by invigilated, just to ensure that it is the student's own work. So yes, there are exams, but they're not just, they're very much case study based exams. It's not just a recall of knowledge, but it's a much asking students for a much deeper reflection and demonstration of their knowledge and application of their knowledge to particular given situations in a case study scenario. And this is very much reflective of the exams that the professional bodies themselves are undertaking with their provisional members seeking accreditation. So we're very much working together with our professional accrediting bodies in what they're moving towards, and then what we're incorporating into our programs as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Meredith. So, so we've got, I think we're coming to the end of our question. There's one more that's asking about exchange programs, and I'm not sure if there's anyone that's happy to answer that. We might be able to take care of it in the chat. It's a little bit challenging at the moment with border closures, but that has been something that we have undertaken before. So so I'm sure once the borders open, things will certainly come back to some sort of normality of what we were doing in the past. But with our new look and feel Bachelor of Business, there's going to be lots of exciting opportunities that are available for students moving forward. So, unless there's anything else from our panel, I'd like to thank everyone so much for coming along and so much for your wonderful presentations, and we look forward to helping answer any questions. We can continue to answer questions in the chat, or if you want to contact us, you know, we're happy to sort of talk further about different options. So thank you so much, everyone. You can see on the slide the information where you can go to and study at RMIT team as well will help us with a study with business. So keep looking out for all those sites and our flyers, and thank you again for joining us.